Do you know how many different ways people spell the word lavender on Depop? It's a lot. You did a thing, take the hit. Hi, I'm a vintage expert and I'd like to sell you a pair of jeans for £50 that I bought for £5. Hello, welcome back to my channel. If you haven't been here before, hi, my name's Lena. I don't usually have this pool of light sitting on my shoulder like a parrot, like I'm some kind of thrifting pirate. It's just the Lord Jesus Christ. He every now and then tries to rapture me up to heaven, but I know I belong down here on earth, just so long as you need help mastering Depop. Now, I don't know if you've noticed, but it's getting real bad out there. Since I started caring about the clothes that I put on my body 15 years ago, production of clothes has doubled. 80 billion new bits of clothing, yes, just bits of fabric we like to cover our nannies with, are made every single year, and the UK is the biggest buyer of new clothes in Europe. So I'm not saying the problem's us, but the problem's it's kind of us. Now, even though our production of clothes in the last 15 years has doubled, you'd think like, oh, okay, we've doubled the amount of clothes that we're making. At least we're enjoying those clothes. At least we're getting it right. At least somebody must be having fun over here, surely. If it's worth burning the world for, at least maybe there's some glee involved. No. The amount of times that we wear an average garment has actually decreased by 36%. So not only are we bodies living on a surface and screwing up the surface like we can just float away and live in space, we're not even enjoying it. We're not even liking the clothes that we make. So in comes secondhand clothes. I'm joking. Buying clothes secondhand has been around for literally ever. It's really one of the only ways I could really afford to buy clothes as a teenager and as a kid, really. But it's becoming more of an attractive option for more and more people, and I'm excited about that. Depop is part of that. Other thrifting apps are available. Here's some of them. And Depop has had some interesting Depop discourse around it recently. This is a really interesting video on the gentrification of Depop and how some people misuse it, and this is a really interesting video about our misconception about charity shops and how actually, at least in the UK, we have more clothes in charity shops than we need, and actually a lot of the ones that we think are just being recirculated and given away are actually being rejected by the UK population, going to other countries and or going into the ground. So I'm a really big fan of these kind of thrift apps because they make sure a piece of clothing is going to an actual person, and it does actually take more time to get rid of your clothes this way. Definitely for me, it's kind of a bit more of a bother than just dropping off one bag of clothes, which I guess is kind of also a reminder that it's my responsibility. If I get a bit of clothing I don't want, I have to deal with it. Anyway, deep dive into the efficacies of thrifting and a very long video essay about that. Resisted, unless you want it, to let me know in the comments below if that's something that interests you. Today, we're just going to talk about some cold hard facts, some real tangible, I shouldn't do it like that, should I? Some real tangible tips that you can apply as a buyer on Depop to find some bargains, find the stuff that you want, and help resist buying fast fashion, especially when there's sometimes I found with charity shops, when I really need a sports bra and I really need to be at my size, I don't have time to go around 8 charity shops looking for that. That's when stuff like Depop really comes in handy, helping people who defaulted to fast fashion and don't have the amount of time it takes to go around charity shops find exactly what they're looking for in not a lot of hours. You might have seen some of the videos that I've made on my channel talking about and showing some of the thrifted clothes that I've got. They're here if you want to watch them. And one of my most requested videos is this, me talking about how I find the good shit on Depop. So here we go. See, here he is again. You won't get me, God. I've got goals to achieve down here. No clothes on a dead planet, haven't you heard? Thesauruses are your friend. All thesauruses, the imaginary, almost extinct dinosaurs that I have in my head every time I say the word thesaurus. The human brain works in a weird way, and different words are associated with different things for different people. If I typed in, as I have done before, actually when looking for this, at first I was looking for like a lavender cardigan, so I typed in lavender cardigan and I couldn't find what I was looking for. I was like, where are all the lavender cardigans? A biography by Lena Norm. So I went to bed a bit frustrated, got up the next day and was like, lilac. Lilac is the word that I'm looking for. People say lilac more than they say lavender. So I searched lilac cardigan and the world is a new place. Also the assumption that English is people's first language if you're searching in your country. There's lots of people who might not say cardigan, they might say sweater. button up. Once I was looking for a tapestry waistcoat. If you don't know that story yet, the video hasn't come out, but if it has, I'm going to link it up there. But I was looking for a tapestry waistcoat, no judgment, and I did find a lot of items, but then I realised I was missing this whole other layer of items by saying waistcoat instead of vest. It's just simple stuff like that. You'll miss so much just from not using all the terms, especially if you're buying from other people who are just really buyers and they're just like casually selling stuff every couple of months when they want to get rid of one odd thing. They're not going to sit there and know all the different words and terms of stuff and tag it properly. You have to think like a buyer, not like a seller. Number 2, if you're looking for something that's quite general, like blue dress, and there's just an overwhelming amount of results and you just really want to find something that's going to fit you so you know what your actual choices are. I've also been the person that has fallen in love with a picture on the grid and then pressed it and been like, oh, it's not in my size. Make sure you search your size, but you could also search your international size. Look at a size chart, translate your size and put that in. You can also just put stuff like M and L, which are such general terms it is frustrating, but often when you find something that's like an L or an M, they will put the measurements in the description as well. So it's worth searching those terms, narrowing down what you want so you can actually find something that you like and fits you. Number 3, once you've used some general search terms and you found more specifically what you're searching for example, I didn't realise this existed and I found one that was like £35 and I was like, oh, I really like it, but that's such an unfair price because I can tell that they probably bought it for around that price and it's secondhand. But once I knew what I wanted, I could put in stuff like cropped, feathered, Zara jumper, and I could start finding identical items from those fast fashion brands in a variety of different sizes and different price ranges. I ended up getting this for £11, for instance, just because I did that reverse term search. I don't know why I'm obsessed with jumpers. Perhaps you're looking for a pink jumper and you find one that's perfect, and it was originally from H&M, and this pink jumper actually has green cuffs on the sleeves. So now you're searching H&M jumper pink green cuffs instead of just pink jumper, and green cuffs is an example of an attribute that you didn't know you wanted until you found something that you really wanted specifically, and those search terms help single out the specific thing you're looking for. If you just put in relevant, you're often going to find the more expensive stuff, the stuff from more well-known sellers, which is all very well and good, but if you search by date listed, you're often going to find more unexpected stuff that isn't as well tagged, and also often cheaper stuff. That's where the cheaper stuff is. Depop obviously want you to spend more because they get commission, so only sort by relevant as a last resort if you can't find what you're looking for. Number 5, misspell search terms. I know, but lots of people can't spell, including me, and there's lots of misspelt listed stuff on there that nobody else will have found. Some hidden gems, some unexpected things, again, by people who aren't experienced sellers and are in a bit of a rush. For example, the term lavender. Do you know how many different ways people spell the word lavender on Depop? It's a lot, and God bless them for that. It's like finding a little doorway to a secret room at the back of the shop. Number 6, if there's something that you really like, maybe because you found it on Depop or because you just know it exists in the world, go to the original brand's website, the people who actually made the clothes, and find out their exact search terms. For example, this is a Adidas print that I've just wanted something secondhand in for so long, and this is the word that Adidas used to describe it, and it's not leopard. It's a very specific word. I can't actually remember it right now, so that's why I'm putting it on the screen. And I found that because I stumbled upon that print on Depop and then did a reverse Google image search to find the original listing on the Adidas website. Even though it's been sold out for years, there were still like rogue pages that existed for it. Found what the brand called the item and then searched on Depop for that. Also, if you found something you like but you want it in different sizes, different conditions, different prices, do that. Number 7, find sellers that are the same body type as you and follow them. Don't bother following the kind of big, hi, I'm a vintage expert and I'd like to sell you a pair of jeans for £50 that I bought for £5, unless you're really into that. All the people that I follow on Depop are normal people, buyers like me, who have similar body shapes. If you find an item that is in your size and they're modelling it and you're like, oh, you have weirdly small boobs, but a very large waist, just like me. You can go to their page, scroll through all their stuff, because they're probably going to own stuff that also fits your body, even if you don't like the thing that you discovered them through. And you're going to have a curated feed of people who look like you and are wearing clothes like you. It's perfect. If you're not sure where to start with this, you don't need to search for clothes on Depop. You actually can just search size 14. size 36, and just go through not looking for pieces of clothing that you want, but for people with bodies like yours. Number 8, can you take the texture further? I keep using this as an example, but at first I was looking for fluffy jumpers, and when I realised that feathery jumpers were an option, I was like, oh. Can you be more specific about the type of material it's made out of? So for instance, this jumper that I wore in a video and was like, I like this material, I can clean my glasses on it, I don't know what it is though, and people in the comments informed me that it was a material called chenille. I was like, oh. And then suddenly a whole cave of chenille-like jumpers opened up to me on Depop, should I ever want to buy another one. Number 9, get geeky about cuts. This is not a floaty dress, it's a smock dress. This isn't just a straight dress, this is a shift dress. This isn't just a collar, it's a shawl collar, a bow collar, a Peter Pan collar, a jabot collar. I know, there's so many different types of collar. Have a little sift through, find a style that you like, and then try and find words to describe that so you can pull up more options like it. Number 10, aesthetics. Aesthetics are really helpful to search by, so you can search like cottagecore or dark academia, but you can also search more specific aesthetics. Here are on the screen some examples, and you can even just search by your favourite celebrity. So for instance, I found this incredible piece of clothing because I just searched a person that I like the clothes of, Helena Bonham Carter, and a few people had listed items of clothing just being like, very Helena Bonham Carter, so Helena Bonham Carter, this looks like something she would wear, and that's how I found some amazing clothes. Number 11, don't sell anything that was new for more than half what you paid. This is just a personal opinion of mine, and it's a way to keep Depop accessible and open. For me, it's not really in the spirit of it to sell it for loads of money, and also if you sell it for almost the price that you bought it for, it stops you seeing the consequences of your actions. If you buy something new and you didn't really think about it, you didn't bother to return it in time, you didn't actually want it, you are going to lose money on that item. And that's why I don't really buy stuff for almost the price that somebody bought it as, even if it's got its labels on and it's almost new, because I'm like, you did a thing, take the hit. Again, I'm going to link some videos about the Depop debate around gentrification, but I think it is kind of, Depop in some ways I think is just a tool, and it's the way we use it that can either be really beneficial or a little bit abusing the system. So I don't put up with that kind of behaviour, and neither should you. Number 12, know your measurements. Obviously, if you're not in a good place and you don't really want to know your measurements or have them in your head, that's totally fine. For me, it's been really helpful knowing my measurements off the top of my head, just around your boobs, around your waist, around your hips. This is how I measure myself. Those metrics aren't things I grew up with, so they don't really make me feel that weird. They're just kind of really good bits of information. But for me, it's been really helpful because I've either been able to see on the listing, or I can reverse Google search it and then find the measurements on the maker's website. And then I can immediately know whether something's going to fit me without buying the wrong thing and wasting all the shipping on doing that, or just getting attached to an item too fast. If it's less than a certain amount for the boobs, I'm like, it's not for me. It's not a union that was meant. And it's also totally acceptable, and you should ask for measurements from the seller if you're unsure about whether to buy an item. They should be able to measure it for you pretty fast, and that's a really good thing to ask. We want to avoid people buying things that don't fit them, so do that. It's not weird. And number 13, lucky number 13, use the save function liberally. A lot of people, and I think the app also kind of seems to encourage you to like items. I guess it helps the seller's algorithms and stuff, and it's probably nice, so like stuff if you do want to, but I mainly use the save option because it's private. Nobody else can see that I've saved it, because obviously if there's something that you kind of really want, you don't want it to have loads of likes and everyone to look at it. Am I being evil? Maybe. But then also the sellers can see that you've liked it, and I often get a lot of like wasted time messages from sellers who are like, you like this, do you want it? And I was like, no, I was just trying to be nice because I thought you looked nice in the picture. And it can just waste a lot of time with people messaging you for stuff you don't want. Often when sellers do that, I'm a people pleaser. I feel pressured to buy the item because they've asked me if I want it, even if I don't want it. So I just use the save function, and it also means that you've got this thing to scroll back through later of stuff that you thought you might want, and you can keep tabs on it, see if it goes on sale, have a little look-see. Especially if something's been listed for a long time, it's worth just like keeping a little save on that, keeping tabs on it to see if the seller does a little discount. Thank you so much for watching. I obviously couldn't cover every base, I'm just one human. So let me know in the comments if you have any tips that you found about thrifting online. I'm sure a lot of these tips you can apply to other apps that you might use. I'm going to leave some more information about that below if you'd like to explore different kinds of apps. I've got some videos about wearing clothes with the planet in mind over here. These videos are free to watch, but of course they're made possible by the lovely people in the Gumption Club who tip me per thing that I make so that they can keep happening and they can be free for everyone. Thank you so much to them. We also have a little Facebook group called the Gumption Wardrobe, so if you're a Patreon member you can join that, and we're constantly giving each other clothes for free and swapping tips with each other about how to be more sustainable with our clothes. So if you're interested, I will leave the links below. Thank you so much for watching. Frog snug out. Did you hear that click? I'm getting so old. Oh god, why buy clothes for a dead body?